welcome to Mothering by Design, episode 2 of my podcast. I'm Chrissy Beth, I'm your host, and I am here to speak to all things around mothering, being a woman in this world with the lens of human design as the tool and the compass that we can use to flow with our life instead of to feel that we have to force anything in life. So, thank you for joining me. It's really beautiful to be back in the studio, recording more regularly. And yeah, I'm so grateful for my husband, Craig, who has set up this beautiful studio for not just me, but for him as well, and his recordings and things that he does. But it's been a bit quiet in here for a while. And so it's kind of nice to get back into the groove, to come out of my cave. But I think it's important that we allow ourselves to be in the cave when we need to. So in the first episode, if you haven't had a chance to listen, I highly recommend going back because it just speaks to a little bit more in a simple way, pretty summarized, but simple way of speaking to what human design is and the system that it is, and that it's this beautiful science meets spiritual meets basically taking a snapshot of who you came here to be the moment you're born and what we can do with that. What is the reason that we need it or want to use it? How does it affect our lives? For me, it's been so transformative in the best way possible. It was like I had all of these innate knowings about what human design was doing in my body, but I didn't know the system yet. I hadn't been given the little manual. And then once it found me many years ago when I was a new mom, it was like, the light bulb just went off. Huge light bulb moment for me because I realized all the things I've been talking about, but I didn't always have like the actual framework or words for it. It was here. It was with human design. And I was just had to wait until I was a bit older to find it, for it to find me, which is perfect. Timing is always perfect. And I did speak to a bit of my story and how that kind of played out for me and how powerful it was for me when it found me as a new mom and giving me the this beautiful sort of blueprint manual for my very amazing daughter who came here as a manifestor, which I'm going to speak to the different types today. When we talk about human design, we speak to 5 energy types. This is probably one of the first things that you'll learn if you ever went to take a training or a course on it, or you hear people talk about it. Most coaches or guides will say, the first thing you need to know, and probably one of the most amazing pieces that will unpack things for you and help kind of give you a bit of framework for yourself, is your energy type. There are 5 energy types in human design. And so today I want to go through each one and I want to speak to it from the lens of um, a parent and being as in looking at your child and saying, oh, my child's, yeah, so my child's a manifester. What does that mean for me? And when I really learned about what it meant, my whole, like, my mind was blown. Because and then now she's 5, and as she goes through life and develops more and more and becomes more into herself, it's so wild because she is such a manifestor energy. And it's a massive, it's so beautiful and empowering to have the lens of human design, to have that, I keep saying the word lens, it must be my word today. But to have that, to be able to look through the camera of human design and go, oh, right, so that's why she has this happen, that's why this happens, and that's why she presents herself this way, or that's why her energy just shows up this way, instead of comparing her to me or to Craig, her dad, or to other kids, right? And now I just know this is what she chose. This is her soul chose to be this way. And to come here to move through the world in this way. And that's why when you find out as a mother your child's energy type, it can be really almost like relieving, because sometimes we wonder, like, why does my kid do this, and their sibling does this, or this their friend does this, and comparing, but not in like a there's something wrong with them, but honestly knowing knowing what their energy type is meant to, how it's meant to move through the world, I do think gives you such a sense of relief. And also, as I said in my first episode, I speak to this a lot, is that the truth of it all is that we think that we're like driving and we have we have our hands on the wheel and we're driving and we've got control, especially as a parent, because I think that's often what we've been taught is like you do have control over these little people and you're meant to shape them. But my biggest takeaway, and I would always just say, like, if you want to learn anything from me about parenting and human design, it's like take your hands off the wheel, like pretend like you actually have, just get your hands off the wheel. Let go of your idea of control, which is not real, and also just don't do as much because they already are shaped and molded with their design. You don't need to shape them. So we're going to speak to each of the five energy types, and I'm going to speak to them as if you have this child and you have a generator child and this is what that kind of looks like, and then here are some ways you can support them, right? And I would also say I would like to go you can go quite deep into energy types. You can, speak to um, their strategy. You can speak to their signature. These are all parts of the energy type. And you can speak to someone's not self, which is when they're like out of alignment. And that's really big to know for your child. But rather than go so deep today into all of it, because that could take, that might take us a long time, I'm just going to do a little bit of a kind of touch on it lightly. And then what I'd like to do is invite you, if it's stuff that's really resonating with you and you're also wanting to learn more and really dive in for yourself, for your own blueprint, but also for your child's, I'm going to be speaking to and sharing with you about my Mothering by Design live 5-week course that's coming up and enrollment's opening in the next few days this week. Whee! Which is exciting. Okay, so let's speak about the different five energy types. Let's get into it. Let's get into the juice of it all. So let's move through. That's our chart. I showed that in the first episode. And with the chart, it's always like when someone first sees it for the first time, they're like, oh my God. But we're not gonna dive into anything around the way the chart looks or anything like that. We do that more in the course. But I'm just showing you that's what the chart looks like. So let's go into the five energy types. We've got generators, manifesting generators, projectors, manifestors, and our beautiful reflectors. So those are the five. And before I go any further, what I should probably say is if you don't know, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, wait, I want to know what my child's human design energy type is or my energy type, highly recommend doing that. So pause this. Wait, first, don't pause it. I'm going to tell you my website. My website that you can get your free chart is www.chrissy, CHRISSY, Beth, BETH, coaching, you can spell coaching.com. So ChrissyBethCoaching.com. On that first page, you'll see enter your birth details. You need your birth time, birthplace, and birth date. Those three things that will pull up your chart and all of the magic that you are and all of your superpowers and everything about you that you probably already innately know. You just probably forgot along the way because we've all been conditioned. And so that's beautiful to know about yourself and then your child. So you can pull anyone's chart on there and take a screenshot and just have it handy while I'm speaking to all of the energy types here today. So you pause, go get your chart if you haven't yet, and then we'll come back to talking about the energy types. So we know we've got the 5 energy types, and we're going to speak to generators. So generators are about 37% of the population. So it's more generator energy than any other energy type in the world. And these are the juicy life force bringing energy people. They walk into the room, and as long as they're in their power and they're in their alignment and they're in their joy, generators are all about the joy and bringing the joy and following the joy. If you know any generators in your life, or if your kid's a generator, you know that they bring the joy to your family. As long as they're allowed to do the things that they love, right? Do the things that light them up, the things that they're interested in, their passions, their hobbies. They're just going to be the ones to make things happen in the world. Now, we all make things happen in the world, so maybe I should retract that. But what I mean is, Often you'll see generators described as the builders or like, the busy bees. And I think some generators don't love that because some generators actually like to not necessarily be going, going, going and feeling the pressure of hustle. So if you're a generator and you came here not to necessarily, I don't want to say you came here to hustle, but you did come here to devote yourself. Generators, they find the thing that they love, whether it be a hobby or work or whatever it is, they devote themselves to it. And generators come here just like when you think about what a generator does, it gives the energy to something. So if you've got like a project at your workplace or in your team, and I'm just giving an example, and you have a generator on your team that loves doing that, whatever that thing is, to actually make it go and make it run and make it happen, you are in the best position possible to have that generator on your team, because that generator will take it and he or she will devote their energy to it, and it will go and it will just go, go, go. And they will go through the steps, and generators come here and devote themselves to something for their life, and they can just keep going, and they just master it, right? And they just keep mastering it. And it's the beauty of a generator. Like when they love something, if they become an artist, they will continue to master their artistry and their the power that their art brings to the world. It will continue to grow and change and evolve and get better as they move through their life. And that's very much the generator energy. And they're an energy being, meaning that when we looked back at that chart, there are different centers. And one of the centers is called the sacral center. So a generator has the sacral center defined, which means they have this built-in sort of battery that's constantly producing energy for them. They wake up, right, with a full battery, especially if they're living in alignment. They wake up with a full battery, and they can go. If they're doing the things they love, they can go all day, every day. And then by the time they actually they want to use up that sacral energy. By the end of the day, they want to have used it up on things, again, that light them up, they give them joy. So, this is very key to learn as a parent about your child. If your child isn't using up that sacral energy throughout the day, bedtime is so hard. So, I highly recommend taking notes on that part. Allow your child, especially, to be physical throughout the day, move their body in ways that they love, do silly things with their bodies, like just get all crazy, like get it out, get that sacral energy out. Um, because once they've done that, whether it be a parent or a child, by the end of the day, they want to be exhausted, fall into bed, but in that satisfied way, and then wake up and have that, again, they have that battery, that charged up sacral energy battery ready to go, and work on the thing that they love and devote themselves to. So, what is key for a generator type? Their joy, right? Their joy. I mean, you probably heard the term like follow your joy, and maybe it feels a little bit like, I don't know, overdone. But I will say 100% for a generator, that's what you need. You've got to follow your joy. It is imperative for the generator to be in alignment and for the generator to magnetize what they are meant to have come towards them. So, this is very important for your child, for you to recognize in your child, like if your child's not in their joy, if your child doesn't have a lot of energy as a generator, what's happening there? It sounds like they might not be tapping into the things that really light them up. One of the best supportive tools you can use as a parent of a generator is to give them options. The sacral center is black or white, and it is constantly going to be giving them yes or no answers and responses to things that are being sent their way. They're meant to respond to things. That's their strategy, right? So basically, with a generator child, if you're trying to ask them what they want to do or what they want to eat, you don't say, "What do you want to eat for lunch?" It's like crickets for their sacral center. They're like, sacral center is like, I don't know how to answer that. But if you give, do you want to have, um, do you want to have sushi or do you want to have a sandwich for lunch? And then their sacral center goes, this, response, sushi. You'll also hear a generator child make guttural sounds that's coming from the sacral center, which is like, uh-huh, uh-uh, ugh. like they make all the sounds. Like sometimes the sounds are, can be annoying as a parent, but actually we don't want to tamp it down. We don't want to suppress their sounds. That's how generators and manifesting generators, they have the same way with the sacral sounds, the guttural sounds from the sacral center. They have the same way of expressing themselves. And as children, sometimes it's suppressed. And so then they stop making those noises and they're not as connected to that, that, that center. And that's really not empowering for them. So you give them options, you listen to their sounds, they'll learn to listen to their sounds as long as you kind of help guide them in that way. Even saying like, do you want to go to the park today? Yes or no? Just some way where there's an option. So that's one of my biggest parenting supportive tools that you can give a generator child. And it will also be so much easier for you as a mother. Because when you're asking like, "What do you want to do today?" or where do you want to do with your friend this on a play date?" and they're just like, "No, I don't know. Don't ask me that, Mom. I don't know." And then sometimes you feel dumb. Like I'm a manifesting generator. I remember before I knew all these things, and when my partner Craig would ask me things, like sometimes big questions about our business or about life, and I'd feel so stupid because it would be these big open-ended questions, and I wouldn't be able to make a decision because it my sacral didn't know how. I didn't have an answer. There was no option. And what's beautiful about the sacral center, excuse me, for manifesting generators and generators is that it will always have an answer. Always. There's always an answer. Um, and what's beautiful about children is their minds haven't taken over yet. If we do it right, right? If we support them to listen to their bodies, because the body always knows. The body always knows. That's what I love about human design. The body has the answers and the wisdom. And the mind with an adult generator, and the mind might quickly try and bring logic in and go, "Oh, but you could do this today because you probably should." And like your sacral's like, "Nah, I don't want to." But the mind's like, "Oh, but that person asked you and you probably should because they need your help and la 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 la." And the whole time the sacral center is like, "No, no, no." So with kids, it's so powerful. If you can support your generator child to listen to that gut instinct, that first response that they get, and go with that and tell people that instead of letting the mind come in and doing the shoulds, mm, you are an amazing mother. What an amazing gift to give your child, right? The gift of their wisdom from the body. So that's a little bit around the generator child. I'll probably wrap that up now, but yeah, so it's like giving those options, really letting them follow their joy, like let them get into the joy of their life, the joyness. That's a new word, the joyfulness. Because when you do, their aura is open and enveloping and magnetizing. So what happens is when you give your generator child the ability to, um, the permission to just go follow your joy, like connect with your joy, bring your joy to our family, they will start to magnetize the most beautiful things, the most beautiful people, relationships, friendships. When they get older, the most beautiful opportunities, maybe with work, maybe with the relationships, friendships, with where they're going to live. Just there's so much that wants to come their way, that so they can respond to it. But if we cut off at an early age their connection with their inner knowing of their sacral center and that response, um, we cut off their ability to magnetize. So, what a gift that you can give them. Okay, let's do this. So, that's the generator. Let's talk about our manifesting generators. Woo! Our beautiful Manny-Gen children. So, they are a little bit less of the population, but there's still a lot, 33% ish. Mm, Sorry, my water bottle makes a squeak noise. And so these beautiful beings, manifesting generators. So if you have a manifesting generator, or I like to say Manny-Gen child, woohoo, buckle up. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're great. But seriously, they're multi-passionate. They will love all the things, and sometimes at once, but sometimes just throughout their life, they will try all the things. They are a hybrid of the manifester energy type and the generator energy type, right? But when we look at the way their chart looks, when we look at the chart of the manifesting generator child person, they also have what's similar about them and makes them a generator type is they have the sacral center defined as well. So they as well wake up with that. They have that consistent energy from inside of themselves that they wake up with every day, full battery. Again, as long as they are in that following what lights them up, really doing the things in their life that bring them joy, not always, doing the shoulds, not leaning into but this person expects that of me, so I better do that instead of the thing that really lights me up today. And then their energy goes, "Doo, doo, 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 doo," right? That's what you can tell when a generator and a Manigen child aren't doing the things. They're gonna be really frustrated, or they're going to be like super tired, and they're gonna like everything's gonna be the sparkly energy will just die. You'll know pretty quickly. So the manifesting generator, it is a part of that in the original human design. The founder of human design, Ra Uruhu, he actually didn't put manifesting generators as a separate type. He put them into the same chapter category of generator, right? And that's changed a lot over the years as more people have come into the world of of human design, and different leaders have come through and spoken to the fact that no, that is a separate type. So that's why we have the 5 types, not just the 4, as it is in his book. But yes, very much a generator type because of that sacral center. Again, they have the same strategy, signature, and not self as the generator. So there's some similarities there. But I also feel very much, I'm a manifesting generator myself. So I feel very much that when I look at my generator people around me and I look at myself and I kind of feel into our auras and I feel into different things, we do have very different makeups. Of course we're all unique, but I mean in the way of when I see a generator energy and then I see a manifesting generator energy, I definitely see quite distinct differences. So with the manifesting generator, the generator is that ability to create things, to make things happen, to work on things, and then you also have the initiating energy of the manifestor energy type. So you bring them together into this hybrid, and what you get is something quite quick, a quickening energy. It's fast. They're fast. Sometimes they're too fast. And people around them are like, why are you giving me whiplash? You just said you were going to learn that, and now you're doing this, and la 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 la. And then you're so quick. Why did you just change? They pivot often. They need variety, and they need to be able to pivot. So you're going to have a manifesting generator child that wants to join this club, and then about 2 weeks into it, they're like, oh, I've learned it, mom and dad. I'm done. And now I'm going to go join this. And you're like, but wait a minute, we signed you up for this. So this will always be a thing for most of the time. You will see this come up with a family with manifesting generators. And it's just, it is part of it. It's part of it. Like, I'm not going to say that it's like, it, there's no, I don't think there's one right way or answer around how do we deal with that as a family. Like, we sign our kids up for things and then they want to quit, if you will. They want to change, and quitters are bad, and there's that energy. And oh man, I've definitely felt that in my own life as I was moving through my life and getting excited about things and then learning about them and doing them forever, however long, that I needed to do it, and then changing my mind and going, and I'm done now, boom. And it makes people uncomfortable around you because they were like, oh no, but you do this, right? Like, you're like this, you're into this. So for the manifesting generator child, we give freedom for pivots. That's a gift. If you give your manifesting generator child the freedom to pivot, the freedom to change their mind, to love something so much for 3 months and then to go, ooh, I'm done. Mama, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Instead of being like, no, you have to keep doing this. We signed you up for 6 months. You have to do this. You have to go every single week or every day. Look, I said this to a mama the other day. You have to choose the battles that really matter to you. Because if you're going to choose the battle every single time that your manifesting generator child has to stick and force them to do something and stick to something that they don't love doing anymore and that they're so not lit up about, that will affect your whole family. And it'll probably knock you all around out of alignment because you're going to have a very frustrated manifesting generator child. That's their not self theme. It's very beautiful to watch a manifesting generator child in their element and their aura. Again, they're open as well with their aura. They're very welcoming. But I feel when I look at manifesting generator aura, and what I feel is that it's got a little bit of it more of a zing to it, like a fire. It's a bit more fiery than a generator aura. Generator aura feels more warm and open and like the joy vibes. And while Manny Gens have lots of joy and they're very open as well in their aura, I feel like there's still a little bit more of like this spicy, fiery, spicy vibe going on. So, and that I think comes from that manifestor energy. So seeing that they will pivot and that it's actually okay. And you know why? Because manifesting generators came here to teach the world that it is okay to change your mind and it is okay to want to do lots of different things. And also the manifesting generator came here to teach us that there are going to be really unique ways of moving through life. And there's not just this one way. Like, society is very good at showing us like, there's this one way. And if we do this way, we're successful and we're normal. And the Manny Gen came here to be like, screw that. I'm gonna go create this other path over here. And did you know you could do this? Did you know you could wear these clothes while you're doing this and also do this? And everybody's gonna go, wait, what? I didn't even know that was how did you do that? And the Manny Gen will also do it very quickly. And they will get a bit frustrated because people can't keep up with them, but that's okay. No one's meant to keep up with them. They're just meant to do their things quite quickly and make things happen. And um, sometimes they get ahead of themselves. At times they skip steps. They don't do the linear path like the generator, and that's right for them. So celebrating as a parent, again, giving your Manny Gen options is really powerful. Like, do you want to do this or this? Like they have the sacral center. They need to respond with options. So that's also, I would say that's another parenting tool I would give you. But also celebrate the fact that they are fast and that they do things really interestingly, uniquely, and that they're multi hyphenate beings, right? Celebrate that. Like it's okay. And even though your friends might not be doing things like that or might do it in a different way than you, or they might look at you and you think you're weird, like celebrate their weirdness. Like love it. Celebrate it. They're actually their superpower. Let's move on to our beautiful projectors. Projectors, amazing. If you got a projector in your life, you are a lucky person. That's what I always say. So they make up, they're a little bit more rare. But I think as we're seeing more and more and more projector babies are being born as we move towards the new paradigm and we move towards this shift that's happening in the world energetically in so many ways and needing the projectors, which are the guides, right? They're the guides. They're the seers. They see the big picture. They sit way up high in a way that we do not. No other energy type can see the way projectors can see. Right? They're way up in the. Just picture the beautiful birds, the owl up in the tree, and think of what they see. Think of everything they see that can be happening out in the world. So they're going to look at what's ahead, and so a projector child will always have a very different viewpoint than the rest of the family. And it is very powerful for you as a parent, as a mother, to invite your projector child to give their viewpoint. That will be, if you can do that for them on a regular basis, oh, mama, that is the gift for a projector. Excuse me. That is the gift to give a projector each and every day. Also works really well for a projector husband. Just speaking from experience, sorry. See them. Projectors are here to be seen for for the wisdom and not for what they do, right? You've got your generator babies. Definitely you recognize the things they're doing, right? With their projector baby and the projector child, they didn't come to be the doers. That's not why their soul chose to come and bring the wisdom. Their soul chose to come and give guidance, right? We're going to need the guides in our new world that's coming, right? So that's the biggest gift you can give is allowing them to share their insights with you and not pushing them to be the doers. Being protective of their energy is a big one for a projector mother. Sorry, for a mother with a projector child. Meaning the projector, they will thrive when you give them rest and time to recharge and space alone away from other people's auras, right? These are energy bodies that go out, and when the projector has a very sensitive is is just a very sensitive being in a way that's hard to put into words, but they have a very focused and penetrating aura because the projector sees into the other in a way that no other type can. And if you've ever met a projector or even a project, like a projector child does the same, their eyes are really unique and special. I find every projector child and person and their eyes looking at me because they see into our G center, our identity. That's our identity center. They literally they like look in. So when a projector child is out in the world and they're at a play date, if they're in the school system, if they're in school, if they're at a play group, if they're, at a party, one of the things I would say to the mama of a projector baby is it's not a bad thing for them to go out into the world and to like be a part of the world. It's beautiful and it's important for them to also be exposed to people wanting to hear from them and be inviting them and their participation into whatever it is that the kids are doing. But then when you get home, allow your projector child to rest and release the energy of the other out of their aura, basically. Like they just need to empty out. And we don't need you can do like fancy breath work and practices, but honestly, as long as you allow them to be on their own, not be in their space, not let anyone get into their bubble, have the quiet time, put on a story, like whatever it is that you do for the quiet time, that is going to give your projector child a lot of um, stability in their energy type. Because if you guys are constantly going and say they are in school and then they also have an after school activity or a group that they go to and then it's just, and if you have, if they have siblings, like, not that that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying if they're always around people, if they're always going, if there's not time for blocks for them to stop and rest, you'll probably see your projector child go into their not self of bitterness, and they just won't be able to tap into alignment that way. They they are here to show you a new way of looking at things. So they're here not to they don't want to push their insight onto someone or their advice. And that's what happens when a projector isn't invited. And then they're like sharing all their insights and what they see about another person. And then the other person goes, ugh, and they kind of reject it. And then the projector is really bitter, right? That's kind of how it plays out. And they go into their not self. They need an invite. So that's why I said earlier is, can you invite your projector child more into the conversation? Oh, what do you think about this, John? Like, John's the child. What do you think about this, John? What do you want to say? What do you have to say? Right? It will literally change their life. So protect the rest of the projector child, give them the invite, and celebrate, that they have this unique perspective and they will see things and look at things a little bit differently than the other energy types. And you are going to set them up for so much success, which is actually their signature. And that's when they're in alignment, when they feel successful. I'd like to move on to, so that's our projector children. Woo. We're flying through these. No, we're not actually. I would go in deeper, but I know I know that there's a lot to every energy. This is what's beautiful about human design. It's like you say, let's talk about energy types, and you're like, I can do this in like a half hour. Like, oh no, you need hours if you're really going to dissect everything about energy types. You need hours, but we obviously have a bit of a limit on time here in the podcast. So let's speak to our next type, manifestors. Very, very sometimes I think, I feel like sometimes they're misunderstood, especially there's so much information out there, in the world of um, online. And what we're going to speak to today about manifestors is what, first of all, their population is about 9%. So they're definitely on the rare side. They are, pardon me, they are the initiators. They are the spark. They spark the ideas. They spark the new ways of doing and being and projects, and they initiate the movement forward. Um, they are like I just picture the match. Like they're lighting it. They're lighting us up. They're lighting the collective up with their powerful energy. When a manifestor walks into a room, especially when they're aligned, it's like, who's that? Who just came in here? Right. So the manifestors, sometimes they're described as like, I don't know. I think when I say that they're misunderstood, I think it's because I have a manifestor daughter. And then the more that she develops, excuse me, and the more that I see her grow, sorry, my throat is a little bit um, scratchy today. So I'm drinking my water. The more that I see her growing up in the world, and as we hold her and try and support her in her actual energy type of manifestor and who she came here to be in her design, the more I sometimes don't resonate with some of the things that are put out on the interweb because I don't know, it just paints the manifestor in such an interesting way that I don't necessarily resonate with having a manifestor daughter. But again, our designs are so unique and they can, you know, it can come through in such different ways. Even two different manifestors will never look the same ever because they're going to have all these other, I showed you the chart earlier, all these other layers on the chart that are going to contribute to the way they show up in the world. But again, manifestors, beautiful initiating energy. So they're, when you look at the manifestor chart, one of the biggest things you'll always see in a manifestor chart is that the throat center um, is defined always 100%, because that's the way that they make things happen in the world is through their voice, through their throat. Their voices are so powerful. And when an aligned manifestor speaks, no doubt everyone in the room is going to hear them and listen and be influenced and affected by them, right? That's why we want to keep them, support our manifestor kids to be aligned and to stay in their design because they're here to make massive change in the world, huge movement if we let them. And if we're not trying to suppress them or tamp down their what can sometimes feel like big wild energy and big wild voices. Speaking from experience with the big voice. Um, So when the manifestor child is in the family, they have a very big, they can have a very big effect on the family dynamic and the ecosystem of the family. And one of the things that we can do to support our manifestor child to be in a more, to help create cohesion in our family ecosystem is to give them freedom. Give them their freedom. They need so much, they need to feel like they're in control. Not that they're not, but they need to feel autonomous. They need to feel they have choice. They need to feel that they're not being forced. And that when a manifestor feels like someone has all this power over them, they go into their not self, which is anger. And that is not fun for them, for you, for the family. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. It's life. They're kids. Like it's part of, it's part of growing up. It's part of being in a family. It's part, you have to think of everyone. But that for a manifestor, that's a bit tricky. And speaking from experience, my daughter is very good at getting what she knows she needs and wants most days. And I also know how to give my daughter lots of choice so that it will also work in with the family in a way that's beneficial to everyone. I'm getting good at it, but I also fail every day too, because it can be really hard when they have such a strong will and such a strong voice, and you're like, and you've been taught that as the parent you're meant to have the power and the voice, and then you have this kid that comes in and she's just like wow, 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 like everything is like, if Craig and I are trying to have a conversation and her voice comes in, you're like, I literally can't hear anything else because it's my manifestor daughter's voice is so strong. What were we talking about? But so you get frustrated, right? You can be angry at her for being this way. But I have to just check myself every once in a while and be like, wait, wait, wait. Step back a bit, Chrissy. She chose you for a reason. And I know one of the reasons that manifestor kids choose us is because they came. This is what I truly feel with my daughter. She came for me to remember that it is okay for her to be loud. It is okay for her to be strong. It is okay for her to have her own thoughts, feelings, and opinions, even when they might not always make everyone around her comfortable. Because I was such a good girl growing up. I was such a people pleaser. And having a daughter that isn't, all the triggers. And the manifestor babies will do this. And it's so beautiful because there's so much to learn from it. So much deconditioning in this. So can we give them more freedom to use their voice? Can we give them more freedom to have more choice instead of just being like, Birdie, you're going to eat this today and that's what your choice is. That's what we're having. Instead, Birdie, I was thinking we could have, pasta or spaghetti bolognese, or we could have Mexican. I feel like I'm both of those sound really good. What do you reckon? Um, and then she feels like, oh, I get to choose. I get to have this say. That's important. That's so important for her. So we give independence within the safe boundaries that we can as mothers for our manifestor children. We understand that they one of the things, and I won't go super detail about it, but they need to inform as their strategy. So we have to, as a mother, hold them in and support them to inform us of their intentions and what they want to create, what they want to go do, instead of them running off and doing things, and then we're poking at them and we're trying to figure out, where'd you go? What are you doing? What's happening? And then they get so angry because they've been interrupted. Manifestors don't like to be interrupted when they're in their process. So it's better, I say to her, let me know beforehand what you're up to or where you're going to go, because then mama won't have to bother you. Right. So this is something to also help guide your manifestors. God, they're such beautiful beings, though. Manifestors, having a manifestor daughter, she is a vibe. I love it so much. But I also say to my parents of manifestors, buckle up. It's a ride, baby. All right. Let's move on to our beautiful, the fifth type, reflectors. Very rare and beautiful. Only about 1% of the population, right? Very rare. Um, very much the mirrors of the world, reflectors. They are going to show us always. So your reflector child will show you very quickly, just by their using their energy, what's going on in the family dynamic. Is it healthy? Is it stable? Is it a good environment for everyone? They are going to take on many different versions of themselves as they move through their life, as they move through their days. So the reflectors, actually, their souls came here to be the mirrors. When you sit in conversation with a reflector, if you get the chance, first of all, if you have a reflector child, please hit me up. I want to hear. It's very rare. I have encountered some reflectors, and actually encountered some reflector mamas, which is amazing. But it is a very rare type. And so often, again, there's not always this like true life experience. That it's not like I have this like bestie reflector friend that I can like say, well, my reflector friend, my reflector child. I don't have that experience. So I love hearing from people who have reflector children or are reflectors themselves, and how that has felt for them moving through the world with that energy type, because I can imagine it would be just wild. Um, I say this because when we look at a human design chart, most of the time, if they're not a reflector, you're going to have a few centers defined, and have energy being generated internally from their inner chart, from their inner landscape. But reflectors have a wide open chart, which means that everything is undefined. Everything is wide open. So they take on the other 100%. So when you sit with a reflector, you sit with your own energy. So wild. And if the reflector's aligned, especially, like it's such a beautiful gift. So they didn't come here to be this one way. So your reflector child is meant to look very different from day to day, right? They came here to sample. Their auras are sampling, which means that they've come here to move and taste and move through everything and taste everything and try it all out. And is this good for me? Do I like this today? Oh, do I like this environment? Do I like this relationship? Do I like this person? Right? It's never this one linear they're like this and they're like this for life. Nope. No, never for a reflector. It's very, very important that they are allowed to sample and given permission to sample. And they will be a very sensitive soul, of course, because they're so open. So, what can we do for our reflectors? Get That's similar to what I said to the projector, but I would say even more so with the reflector is wow, what is their environment like? Is it stable? Is it protected? Can you protect their energy for them? Can you give them the space to be alone? Reflectors, especially reflector children, let's give them that, carve out that time for them to be alone throughout the day. They definitely need it. It's very important for them. Um, because they can take on the others so easily. It's very important for you once you've been out in the world and you've taken your reflector child out in the world, right? It's once you go home, it's imperative that you give them alone time and you have a space for them. Maybe it's their room. There should be a space, and their environment, their home environment should be very stable, very it should just feel really healthy for them. And I was talking about this with another person the other day about, it doesn't mean that you can't like travel and go places with a reflector child, but we can even look at like the environment of the family. Is that healthy and stable? Because that's huge. That's huge for the child, for the reflector child. So just carving out a space, because their environments are so imperative to them. That's what kind of gives them a taste of if they want to be there or not, their environment for the reflector. So if the home, when they get home after having a big day at school or at a play group or at a party or whatever you're doing at the shops, and they can come home to a stable environment, that's key. Um, so also just giving patience, patience and your presence for them to move through their process. They are lunar beings. The rest of the types are solar beings, and reflectors are lunar beings, meaning that they are so connected to the moon and the moon's cycle. So they have actually the strategy of waiting 28 days to make any decisions. Now, I'm not talking about if they want a sandwich for lunch, but as they get older, one thing you're going to do for your reflector child to support them is to give them the time and to help support and guide them in knowing that they need to take a lot longer time to make the bigger decisions. They don't have the sacral center. They're not going to get that full body yes response or full body no response. They need long time to make a decision. And what's beautiful about reflectors is they remind us that not everything has to go this, right? We don't have to rush. Not everything has to be so fast. And as their parent, as their mother, oh mama, if you give them your patience and presence while they're trying to make up their mind about something, or just while they're moving through their day and doing their day slowly, that's so powerful. That is the gift for a reflector child. Well done. That is the way to do it. And while the world teaches us and teaches you, your child needs to be doing this and this and this and going fast, you're going to go, nah, no thanks, because you've got their blueprint and you know the right way. And can you celebrate how unique they are and their sensitivity? It is such a gift. If every community had a reflector in the center, because they actually came here to be the wisest souls of them all, and it's their gift because they reflect what's happening in the world. They reflect the truth of what's really happening in the world. Can you imagine every community having a reflector in the center as like the wise person saying, y'all gotta start over. This isn't working, or this is beautiful. Let's do this. It would be amazing. And that's why, um, as we parent with design and as we mother by design, we create those next generations coming through. We create a more cohesive, loving world by allowing them to stay and to marinate and to thrive in their design. That is literally what it was for. Ra Aruhu, the founder, says human design is for children. It's for the children, hands down. Not because it's too late for us, even though it feels like that sometimes, because we're all doing our deconditioning as adults, right? And peeling off the layers of conditioning that we've had thrown on us throughout life. But because yes, what if like we don't have to do that to our children? What if we don't have to put on layers of conditioning? What if we can allow them to step deeply into their design and be that manifestor they came here to be, to initiate all of these amazing things to happen in the world in the future, and allow our projectors to be the guide, that projector child to invite their insight and to allow them to feel that their guidance is so much their superpower, not what they do, but what they're here to see. And then think about that for their future and the future of our world. Like, that's what just blows my mind when I go further out with it. It is so powerful, mama, the work you're doing. If you even implement, if you take any of these little bits, because that's honestly, when we look at a chart, sometimes I know some people get really overwhelmed because they're like, oh my God, I don't even want to start because that's so overwhelming. That's so complicated. But that's where I come in, because my superpower is to take this very like crazy looking, complicated looking chart and to break it down for you into supportive, practical ways and tools that you can use it, not just for your kids, but for you, mama, for you as a mother. Because that's what I'm doing for me, and I'm living it every day. It's called the human design experiment for a reason, and I'm loving it. I am experimenting on my kids, on my partner, and it's amazing. It's so beautiful. So those are some of the little bits. I think we went for a while, but those are. I was like, I'll just do a quick podcast, but it's hard to go just quickly into the energy types. That's some of the energy type information. If you like this, if you want more, because there is more, there's way more that we can dive into when we speak to each type strategy, right? When we speak to each type's not self. So when you know your child's not in alignment, when they're really, they're not in their true design, and how can we help them get back? These sorts of things, and also speak to things like their authority, the way they make decisions, all of the things. My Mothering by Design course has been created for you, mother, to help support you, because we all know it can be so overwhelming and so crazy out there with the information overload. And I've taken the foundations of human design from a mothering perspective, and I've put it into a 5-week live course, a group course specifically, because that's one of my superpowers, is holding a space, a container, a safe one, a loving one for other women. I've been doing it for years, and it's one of my favorite things to do. It really lights me up. That's why I created this as a group container. So you can also connect. There's a community. You can connect with other mothers that have the same desires as you, to parent in a way that doesn't try to mold the child, but allows them to step into their innate way of being. Mothering by Design was made for you. Enrollment is opening this week, Thursday, the 18th of September. If you want to learn more and you want to be the first to know all the things and to get in, my wait list is here for you. So you can click the link to get on the wait list, or even comment the word wait list if you'd like to join. And also I will be sharing more, of course. I'm just always I'm not, I would never gatekeep any of this. I want to share all of the information. I want mothers to feel supported. I feel like there's not enough support out there for the mother, and I want to change that. I want you to feel so seen and held. And one of the things about my course that I love, the parts that I'm super excited about, is when we talk about how do you support yourself as a generator mother? How do you support yourself as a projector mother, as a manifestor mother? Let's really lean into the ways that for your unique design, how you can support yourself so you can thrive and you can be in your joy, mama. That is so powerful. I think that's enough for today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's such a joy. It really lights me up, and my sacral center says yes, and lights me up to share this information, this beautiful tool, this beautiful system, and my stories with you. Thank you for being here, and I can't wait to connect with you again for the next episode.